All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another video for Saturday, December 28th. We're reviewing the games on the 27th. There were 5 games, and wouldn't you know it, of course, the one that I didn't watch was the one that was the craziest. Not a good night for goaltending in Danbury. So, yeah, the Watertown Wolves go to Danbury. They were a little short-handed, um, which that's still the whole crazy mess getting sorted out. Um, it's gonna be a while before things settle down. So yeah, Watertown at one point is tied up with Danbury 6-6, and finally in the end, it is a late flurry of goals by the hat tricks that give them the victory 9-6. Big crowd, over 2,000 in hand at Danbury at the ice arena. The shots. This game was so wide open. There was no defense whatsoever. Shots in the first period was 25-17 in favor of the hat tricks. Second period, they outshot the Wolves 19-8. Third period, 21-8. Um, Again, a lot of that is, the Wolves are still shorthanded. They went in with a roster of 15 last night to take on the hat tricks. And yeah, there was that trade that happened. Um, that's all I can say is that, certain people weren't contacted, certain people weren't put in the loop that needed to be in the loop for the trade to go through, and so yeah, it wasn't. There was a supposed trade first moving a couple players from the Venom to the Moccasins and then flipping them to the Wolves, and yeah, things were not on the up and up. So for this game, Vadim Frolov scores the game-winning and seventh goal for the hat tricks at 8:14 on the power play, the third period. And that was just a few seconds after giving up a shorthanded goal to Trevor Lord, who was one of several players that had multi-point nights. Lord had 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists. He had Trevor Graspy and Noah Robinson for the hat tricks. Both of them had a goal and 3 assists. You had 2 goals by Gleb Ben Durkin. Yeah, this crazy. So yeah, it was 3-2 at the end of one, and you knew at that point that it was going to be an insane game. So anyway, both goaltenders were relieved in the later stages of the game, but Frankie McClendon ends up getting the win. Played 49 minutes worth, 23 saves and 29 chances. Anton Borodkin stopped 51 of 60 shots. And just, again, crazy, 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 crazy. So, with this game, Watertown is now 12-7-1, and Danbury improves to 9-7-4. Danbury is now in third place in the Empire Division. All right, let's get to the next board. Okay, I was hoping to get my little remote working, and it's not syncing up with the camera, so be it. Excuse me. All right, Port Huron goes down to Athens, and this game, I gotta admit, this was a little bit closer than I thought it was going to be. Not that I thought it was going to be a blowout, but I thought it was going to be maybe a 2 or 3 goal win. And no, Port Huron hung in there. It's a 3-2 win for Athens. Finally getting some games under their belts. I know, no fault of their own. Um, but anyway, yeah. Early on, Athens started off as kind of as I expected, a fast and furious wave of shots on Valtteri Nusiainen. And it's Philippe Vigili scoring a nice wraparound at 3:21 of the first period. Um, but yeah, from there, Port Huron kind of played their game where they kind of muck things up, play their sound defensive style of game, and they hung in there. Got a few shots on Josh Rosenzweig, but not anything major. Shots were 13 to 7 in the first period in favor of Athens. Then in the second period, it's Brendan Keller. He gets his first Fed goal on his first Fed game. Who was Brendan Keller? Well, uh, he played in the SPHL a little bit. Just came to Athens, and he ends up on the scoreboard. Um, that's a 2:25 for the second period. 9:07, there's some unfortunate stuff that happens, including a sucker punch by Michael Greco. And I just thought that was kind of over the top. Somehow only gets 4 minutes for it. Takes Alex Johnson out of the game for a spell. Johnson would return later on, but it kind of just you don't sucker punch somebody in the face just for. Anyway, enough about that. Second period later on, it's Tucker Scantlebury, or the joke was going on the chat, Tuckle. He scores at 13-17. So it is 2-1 at the end of two. Shots second period 12-7 in favor of the Rock Lobsters. They still have the decided advantage of shots. On the third period, it's Lockhart scoring on the power play, assisted by Tuckerberry. Scantlebury. Choose your berry. So anyway, so that ties things up. In the third period, I'm sorry, that was in the third period. That was at 2:56. About 2 minutes later, it's Gallant getting on the board. I talked about him a few videos ago, saying he kind of disappeared. Where'd he go? Finally got on the scoreboard for Athens, and that would be the game winner. Late in the game, Port Huron did pull Nusiainen for the extra attacker, but Alex Johnson gets called for a cross check with 40 seconds left, so that kind of killed that. And 3-2 in favor of the Rock Lobsters, who had 35-22 shot advantage. So now Port Huron is 10-11-2, looking up at three teams in the Empire. And Athens, they helped their situation a little bit. They improved to 11-2-2. Still have a lot of games in hand. They still have 8 games in hand on division leader Baton Rouge, and games in hand on everybody else as well. They played the fewest games coming into last night. All right, so Nusiainen stops 32 of 35 in 59 minutes played. Rosenzweig, not a very busy night, 20 of 22 saves. He gets the win. There you go. And a crowd of 33-17 on hand. I don't know if you can see that. I know the light reflection is a little weird with the green. So anyway, next game, Columbus hosting the Blue Ridge Bobcats. And Blue Ridge was just peppering Matt Petizian. Petizian had to really step up, and he did in the time that he was in the net. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Meanwhile, Hunter Vrostick, not the night he was hoping to have, as Columbus broke out to a 3-0 lead. Goals by Ryan Hunter, which was assisted by Justin McDonald. So, first game back, and McDonald gets back on the score sheet. And then we had Alex Storjahan scoring not even a minute later. And then it's Kirk Underwood scoring on the power play, 17:09. So 3-0 in the first period, even though the Bobcats outshot the River Dragons 16-7 in that first period. Um, Petitian was just standing tall and yeah, playing a fantastic game. Um, Second period, after a mad scramble in front, it's Austin Belface getting on the board for the Bobcats, making it a game. But at 12:55, it's Ryan Hunter once again scoring on Hunter Verostic. So now it's 4-1 at the end of two shots through two periods. We're 31 in favor of the Bobcats as opposed to 22 for Columbus. The Columbus was just making the most of their chances. In the third period, it's Belfay again. There's just crazy scramble on right in front of the crease. Somehow, some way, Petitian goes down. It looked like something went bad with his leg. Um, he ended up leaving and not coming back. So in comes Sammy Bernard cold, and so minute and a half later, it's Nick McHugh scoring. Very slick move, and Brett Wiseman's commentary was disgusting, meaning disgusting in a good way. But yeah, that was his commentary on McHugh's goal. So it is now a game. It is 4-3, but then comes the onslaught with the goals. It's Connor Lynn scoring on the power play. This would end up being the game-winning goal at 9:19. 10:02. It's Alexander Jemayev, and the Bobcats tried to stay in it. Nick McHugh scores again just 22 seconds later, but at this point it was kind of too little, too late. Austin Dose scores 16:54 to seal the deal. It's a 7-4 win, despite such a good amount of shots on goal by the Bobcats. Once Bernard came in relief of Petitian, and no, we didn't have any word as far as what exactly the extent of his injuries were. It seemed like Columbus changed how they played defensively, and yeah, it's the Bernard only faced 6 shots in the 14 minutes. So Petitian obviously made the huge bulk of saves, played very well. The Bobcats played okay, but it just wasn't a good night for Verostic. Wasn't a good night for the defensive core for the Bobcats, and Columbus took advantage. So yeah, Blue Ridge is now 10-8-2. Columbus improves to 14-3-3, knocking on the door. Crowd of 3,023 on hand. All right. And what would a weekend be in the Fed without a no-no? Seems like it's that kind of a year. Last year we didn't have that many shutouts by goalies, and this year it seems like every week we have at least one donut put on the board. And this time it was the Dashers that were the victim. And I know the first thought is, well, it's the Dashers. The Dashers did not play poorly. The Dashers played very well. The story of this game was Ricardo Gonzalez. He out goalied the Dashers. The Dashers got several good grade A opportunities, and just couldn't put it home because Gonzalez was just a brick wall. So yeah, Oscar Wahlgren for the Dashers, he didn't play poorly either. He gave up 3, 38 saves, not a bad night. But yeah, it just wasn't meant to be for the Dashers. So in this game, it was Sam Gagnon scoring at 4:26 of the first period, and then things settled down. It was just kind of like that. That was really the worst moment for the Dashers was that goal given up in that first period. And then they really settled down and played an excellent defensive game. Um, and they're generating lots of opportunities too, just couldn't get it home. In the second period, there's a bit that I want to talk about here. And it's not what some people are thinking, because we had a conversation online about this. 13:44, Walgren makes a save. There's a scruffle behind the goal, some pushing and shoving, nothing major. I believe it was Thomas Murphy that Soterios Karagorgis was tied up with. Anyway, those two are separated, and it looked like it was just going to be, okay, we go on and we play on. So Karagorgis was fired up, was just shouting, maybe running his mouth a little bit. Linesman John Taliu ends up coming in, and because Karagorgis was against the boards, he's starting to skate away from Murphy. Taliu came up and just gave him a shove. Now, it wasn't a big shove. It was literally this. That was it. But still, that does seem to set a little bit of a strange precedent. Taliu was nose to nose with Karagorgis. As this whole thing developed, and as I watched it on replay, I thought Karagorgis was targeted. And this is a problem that we are having in this league that needs to stop. I don't care if it's Paul Jean or somebody else who's wearing the stripes that night. The referees need to understand that they cannot be targeting players. And this was a clear target. So, okay, you had that confrontation. You're thinking it's going to be 2 and maybe a 10. Sure enough, that goes on the board. Karagorgis is hot. All right. He goes into the penalty box, and now in Big Boy Arena, the walkway to the Motor City locker room is right next to the penalty box. So he goes down the hallway. All right. He's in front of the locker room for the Bobcats, swings a stick a couple times in anger, and goes to go into the locker room. The lead official, Johnson, comes over, says, "You're gone." I'm sorry, but when you're off the ice, when you're not in the playing area includes the ice surface, the team bench, and the penalty box. When you're out of those areas, it doesn't matter what you do. All right? And the fact that Karagorgis was off the playing surface, off the playing area, and ends up getting a game misconduct, that was targeting. And that's the kind of thing that needs to stop in this league. I'm going to come right out and say it. I think Karagorgis didn't help his cause, but come on. All right, so that was a very strange situation. TJ Sneath, 18:55 as we get back into the game. He scores, and it's on the power play, so it's 2-0. Late in the third, TJ Sneath seals the deal, 17:04. And there you go. There's your 3-0 win. Sneath with 2 goals. Nick Miguel Diaz has 2 assists. And, of course, Rico Suave, 45 out of 45. Babin was dressed as the backup, but the plan was to give him one more day to rest and give Gonzalez a start because why not? He's been playing so well. That is now the second shutout that Gonzalez has had in 3 weeks. So, yeah, good decision by the coaching staff. Walgren, again, takes the loss, but again, he didn't play poorly. Dashers didn't play poorly, but they're looking at a 17-game losing streak now. They're on official Delaware Thunder watch. So we'll see what happens. All right, final game of the night. It's Carolina taking care of business. There's no other way of saying it. They just went in and completely dominated the Mississippi Seawolves, not just with the score, but with the shots. shots were 8 in total for Mississippi after 40 minutes of play. You're not going to win games that way. You're also not going to win games if the only person putting the puck in the net is Dalton Anderson. Nothing against Dalton Anderson. As a matter of fact, Anderson's having a fantastic year. Kudos to him. But you've got to start putting pucks in the net. If you don't have offense, you're not going to win games. So, Carolina, in the meantime, they get a nice little surprise, the return of Zach White, who played with the Thunderbirds. Long story made very short, this was during the Ignite Cup COVID year challenge. And Zach White was originally signed by the Danbury Hat-Tricks. Hat-Tricks didn't play that year, so they loaned Zach White to Carolina. And he scored 16 points in 20 games. Then he went on to play in the ECHL the last 3 years. Anyway, he gets the opening goal on the power play and at 14-18. And Mario Cavallari, who's in goal, of course, for the Thunderbirds, gets a secondary assist. So, yeah, Cavallari almost got the shutout, just missed, but he got an assist. So, trade off, maybe? I don't know. Ed Coffey, he played pretty well, but it was just, it was just too much of the puck being constantly in the Mississippi zone. Second period, there are 2 goals pretty quick with each other. 6:35. It's Andrei Simanchik scoring for the Thunderbirds. I believe that's his second goal of the year. And then Joe Kennedy scores at 8:01. So it's 3-0. To rub salt in the wounds a little bit, at 17:24, Peter Panachik scores for the Thunderbirds. Now it's 4-0 at the end of 2. Shots were 29-8 through 2 periods. In the third period, Zach White, he ends up getting the final goal after Dalton Anderson scored at the power play at 12:47. Zach White gets the final goal, 18:01. It's a 5-1 win. This just was never close. It was never a contest. Crowd of 2879, probably wondering what the heck is going on with this team. Right now, I'd be very curious to see if you put the Dashers and Mississippi together, what kind of result would you get? Hard to say. All right, so with this game, Carolina is 13-3-3, Mississippi 3-17-1, and just trying to find any way of generating some offense. All right, so that is our recap of Friday night. Saturday, today, we have 6 games on hand starting at 7 o'clock. So we will be keeping you up to date. We'll be watching the games and chatting with you a little bit in the chat. And, of course, we'll be here tomorrow morning recapping the games. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Hey, we're here covering the FPHL. So you can keep up to date with everything going on in the FPHL between this, the Flash Audio Network, and Facebook. All right. Thanks, guys. I am Gary Ryan. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend.